Hello, 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 and welcome to another PDH Pals Deck Tech. This is Sniff Out here from the PDH Pals, and I'm bringing you one of my favorite decks. It's actually one of my most recent as well. This is from Theros, the newest set, and this is Devourer of Memory. So this is a black and blue Dimir Commander. It's a 2/1, and whenever you mill one card from your graveyard, he gets +1/+1 until end of turn, and he can't be blocked. And if you also need it, you can use his ability himself. When you look at this, it doesn't seem that good. Obviously, if he counted every single card milled, so like a Dreadwater's targeting yourself, give him like +10/+10 or whatever, how many lands you got. But that's not how this works. Devourer of Memory needs consistent self-mill every time. And so when I was building this deck, all the pals were saying, oh, it's going to be shit, it's going to be bad. But I felt something in there. Because when I saw this deck, I saw two cards that could really push this deck into consistency. And these two cards are the wonderful Jace's Erasure and Ghoulcaller's Bell. With these two cards, it is very easy to get him triggered every single turn, and sometimes multiple times a turn. Like Jace's Erasure itself, so you're already getting one for turn because you just mill yourself. And Ghoulcaller's is a standard one, but it's only 1 mana for free. And after that, it's only 1 mana, and then after that, every time it's free, which is pretty nuts. But Jace's Erasure is probably the best card in this deck, because if you have a nice cheeky Treasure Cruise, that is +3/+3 on your Devourer of Memory, and then plus another one for your turn, and then plus whatever else you have to make him, bigger as he gets every turn. Because this deck's all about like building up and then just start rolling over people. It is a commander damage deck, and we do play 40 life and 21 commander damage. He'll get some commander damage kills every now and then, but he's really about keeping it low to the ground, keeping everyone low on the same life total. And then if someone does play heal bomb, then he can go off and just nuke somebody out of the game. And I really like his ability because you oftentimes don't have to use the cards in your hand. You can just activate him and it counts. You can stack the triggers. So I'll do one. I'll wait. I'll do another one. Just so he keeps getting the pluses each time. But yeah, this deck is sweet, and I'm gonna go over it right now. Talk about some of the cards you get, some of the cheeky little combos. I'm gonna keep these guys here off to the side because they're gonna get brought up every now and then. Because there's a lot of shenanigans with these two. But oh yeah, I love Devour Memory. He's a sweet one. So let's just go ahead and jump into the ramp because it's the most boring. We got a nice cheeky Wayfarer's Bauble. Just a standard good one. It's good just to play it turn 1, or ideal to play it turn 1, I guess. And then turn 2, you crack it, and then you got all your mana right for the rest of the game. But I also don't like it at the same time because he's 2 mana, and the whole goal of the deck is to get him out in turn 2. Like, the deck's sort of built around that. But I mean, turn 3 is fine also. Not the end of the world. It's also good to set up a little bit, like play your creatures at mill, play your rocks, all that stuff. But Wayfarer is a good one. Pristine Talisman. This deck doesn't have life gain in it. I probably should put 1 or 2 in there. Like one big lifelink spell just to push him over. But otherwise, we got Pristine Talisman. A nice long game life gain. It works. We got Dimir Locket and a Dimir Cluestone. These are both very good. They fix your colors, and later on in the game when you don't need them anymore, you just go ahead and sack it and draw some cards. Obviously very, very strong. And definitely probably the better rocks of the format, I would say. Although we're getting a new good one in Ikoria, which I can't wait to talk about. But it's not here. That's for later. Scare Tiller, the master of PDH, my god, my king, my captain. This is a self-build deck, so you're always going to have a land in your graveyard, and you're always going to be able to get it right out of his graveyard. He's a 1/4, he's unkillable. I mean, he'll get chump blocked, but that's not the end of the world. Because you are constantly milling yourself. So you're constantly going to have lands in your graveyard, so he's always going to be active. And if he's not, and you got an extra land in hand, go ahead and just drop that off. It's not a big deal. But that was the draw, or no, that was the ramp. Let's get into some draw right here. This is probably one of the best ones in the deck. It's not draw, but it gets you whatever you need. Mystical Teachings, search your library for an instant or flash. There's no flash in the deck, but getting an instant speed is very good. Go ahead casting that. getting a Death Rattle and casting Death Rattle is amazing. Then you can flashback it too, which is even better because you're milling yourself, so it's probably just going to end up in the graveyard, and just, you'll still get some value from it. I'm a huge fan of this card. Relic of Progenitus. This one's great. Target player exiles a card from the graveyard. This probably shouldn't be in this deck because you yourself have a huge graveyard and you try and want to keep it alive the whole time. But I mean, it's just good to have against other graveyard decks because sometimes they could be a little faster than you. And it's just good to hurt them if you can. It's just free value. Treasure Cruise, I brought it up earlier. But Treasure Cruise with Jace Erasure is a nasty combo because it refuels Treasure Cruise as well. And that means next turn, if you play one of your Archaeomancers or whatnot, you can just go ahead and get it back and do it again. And just permanently keep giving your Devourer of Memory +3/+3 every turn. But it's a nasty combo. With Treasure Cruise, people keep thinking like, well, if your commander's not here, you have no reason to mill yourself. So that's right. So if people end up killing Devourer of Memory, getting them off the board, I just start punishing them and using all my mill spells to target them for the rest of the game. And they're going to get salty because, oh, I'm milling my card, I'm milling a good card. So that's just a little backup plan. Obviously, you're never going to be able to mill somebody out because this deck's all about milling yourself. And we don't run the big mill spells. But it's just to punish them a little bit. It's just for funsies. The Stinky Fish himself. Obviously, one of the best draw spells in the game. It really doesn't need an introduction at this point, man. We talk about it all the time. It gets cast all the time. And its older brother, or I guess younger sister, Ristic Study. Another one of the best draw spells in the format. It's amazing in PDH. It's amazing in EDH. It's just an amazing card. It is stinky though, so I hate playing it, but this deck needs some help. But we're going to take that help. We're going to force that help. This guy isn't draw, but he gets some very important cards out of this deck. He gets your Ghoul Caller's Bell. He gets, I run both the artifact lands, so he gets those two. He gets a Shard of Broken Glass, which we'll go over later. I'm thinking about putting Bone Splitter in this deck, just so he can get a Bone Splitter. But, I mean, he's just a good card. If he has like 4 targets, you're living the dream. Normally he only has like 1 or 2. But in this deck, he's got 2 lands. He's got Shard of Broken Glass. He's got Ghoul Caller's Bell. He's got Relic. And he's got Wayfarers too, if you really need another land. But he's got a lot of targets in this deck, and he's sweet. And don't listen to that. He is a common, for some reason. But that was the draw. We have a lot more draw, but we'll get into that when we start getting into the mill spells of the deck. So let's just go ahead and get into like some protection spells, I want to say. Except let's just, I don't know. Here, let's get into protection spells. Fuck it. Darkness. I love this card. It's just a black fog. You really need it because people aren't gonna like you, just nuking them for like 12 a turn or some shit. So darkness is good to help you out. Just even helping you out for 1 turn is incredible. Because sometimes that's all you need in this format. I talk about it in all my decks. I really just love this card. Speaking of loving cards, Curfew. I'm a huge fan of this card as well. It can be used to protect your general. It can be used to hurt another commander damage player who is going all in on enchantments on 1 creature. I mean, this card is just so good, man. I'm a huge fan of it. Always have been. I try and put it in every single blue deck I have. But I'm not tired. Let's get into some more protection here. We got Whisper Silk Cloak. Whisper Silk's funny because this commander does not need the unblockable, but the Shroud is very good. So that's why I run it, mainly for the Shroud. There's probably a better option. Like I should probably be running Diplomatic Immunity, but Whisper Silk's good. I like it because they have to blow it up just for the Shroud alone. So get a kill spell out of the hand, get an artifact destruction thing. We got another Shroud, Alexi's Cloak. This is probably one of my favorite ones because it's instant speed, which is pretty nasty. They use a kill spell and Devour. You just flash in the Cloak. You get in there for a big swing with him. Pretty nasty stuff. I don't like the art, but everything else is pretty good on it. Go ahead, Counterspell. That's pretty much protection. It's just generically good. You're always going to have the colors for it too, because this deck is pretty well split, I feel like, for the land base and whatnot. This is a better one in the deck, Muddle the Mixture. Normally you don't want to go ahead and cast this and counter something. What I always do is you transmute Muddle for Jace's Erasure. Like that's the game-winning plan right there, man. If you can have Jace Ratio out in the field like this, Devourer of Memory gets really scary really quickly. And I mean, it's just a great combo. Muddle's also just good to have. Like, let's say you mill your Jace Erasure early game or whatnot. In these colors, there's no way to get it back, so we just gotta live without it. So you can just cast a Muddle, which is good. Or I mean, there are other good transmutes to get in this deck, which we'll go over later on. Worst case scenario, you just get a real counterspell. That could be cool. Or an Alexi's Cloak, that's a good one too. Devious Cover Up. This is a sweet counterspell from Guild Ravnica, I think. One of the new Ravnicas. Counterspell, if it gets countered this way, it gets exiled, and you can shuffle 4 cards from your graveyard into the library. So it's good to put your, to thicken your deck back up just so you don't end up milling yourself out completely, which hasn't happened once yet, even inside of a lot of games. So I'm not too worried about that. But Devious Cover Up's sweet. It is 4 mana, which does suck, but it's not too bad. Shuffling, getting cards back is good. Exiling cards is always very good too. It's not protection, but we got some other ones. Strider Harness. This card's sweet. Giving him haste is really good. I should probably put Crashing Drawbridge in this deck, but I feel like this deck is so tight on cards, and I just don't know what to cut anymore, man. But give him haste is good. +1/+1 is also good because it gives him away from the 1-butt, which I guess I didn't talk about. He is a 1-butt, and you guys know I hate 1-butts. But he's cool because if you have a way to protect him from like a Swathcutter Giant, like that turn, like you just hold your Ghoul Callers, and then when he swings at you, you just bump it up, just protect it. Yeah, that 1-butt's brutal. If he was a 2/2, he'd be so much better. But I can't complain. He's just a sweet general. I like him a lot. This is another kill spell of the deck, Soul Shriek. I haven't cast this yet, but the potential of this card is huge. I think there's 23 or 24 creatures in this deck. So it's a 1-mana. If you have a bunch of creatures in your graveyard, which you're going to be milling yourself a lot. I think it's reasonable to have like seven creatures in your graveyard at a time. And so Soul Shriek is just straight +7/+0. And he's unblockable anyway, so it's just gonna get damage in. The biggest problem with it is he gets buried at end of turn, and there's no way to protect him except you like curfew in response or something. Or not in response, but curfew and stack is triggered. But Soul Shriek's sweet. I can't wait to cast on it somebody. I should probably put Tainted Strike in. The same thing, but it gets infected instead, which would be a sweet blowout turn. But Soul Shriek's good for now. All right, those were those. Let's just go ahead and jump into let's get some more protection. Not protection, but kill spells and whatnot. Winds Rebuke. I'm a huge fan of this card in every deck, but this deck specifically is good because let's say you just bounce a Pestilence or whatever, and then you can just go ahead and each player mills 2, so it triggers him again. Unfortunately, it doesn't trigger twice; it only triggers once because that's how this deck works. But this card's sweet. It's just a generically good card. Should be played in most blue decks, I feel like, in this house. And the mill is a huge plus side for him. Kazmina's Transmutation. I'm a huge fan of these effects. I kind of run them in almost every deck I can. They're not the best, but they are pretty sweet. It doesn't kill the creature, it just leaves them alive. So it's something to consider. But I like them a lot. I run them in all the decks. Losing abilities is sometimes better than just killing it and getting it off the board. Because let's say it's a Swathcutter, you can't, you don't want to swing with it anymore, and you can't just recast it. Because it's just going to be so expensive, it's going to sit on the board for a while. Especially in this deck, because most times in commander damage decks, they're just going to chump block it. But he's unblockable, so it's just going to sit on the board until he politics his way into someone else getting rid of it. I don't even want to pronounce this one. Ichthyomorphosis. This card is sweet. It's the same thing, but it's 1 more expensive and turns into a fish. And it's a 0/1 instead of a 1/1, which is relevant. It's not the end of the world, but it's kind of relevant. It'll work every now and then. It's a new one. I haven't played it out with it yet, but I'm excited to. Victim of Night. I've talked about this in every deck tech, I think. It's one of my favorite kill spells. It's in almost every deck of mine, at least. And it's just good. It's not going to hurt too often. You're usually going to be able to kill whatever you need to. Death Rattle. This card is sweet. I had a poor showing with it because I forgot that it says cannot be regenerated. But other than that, this card's insane. If you can loop this a couple times a turn, and your graveyard's going to be so thick anyway, you're going to have enough to delve it. Like if you can do this like 2 or 3 times a turn, like most people can't recover, and it's gonna kill anything you need to except for non-green, which is a little weird, but it's not the end of the world. There's not too many green decks, and if there are, you can just Victim of Night or another kill spell, like this one right here, Final Death, another one from Theros. I haven't played with it yet. I just put it in recently, but I'm very excited for this one. It's just a reprint of Final Reward from Amonkhet, but I don't know. Exiling is really good. It is 5 mana. I should probably just be running up Nixil's Cruelty or Murder, to be honest, but I don't know. Kind of want to try it out. See how it goes. This is another one. I kind of like this one a lot because it has Surveil 2. And it's just a 5 mana destroy target creature, which does this pretty bad value. But Surveil 2 is great because it triggers him. And I mean, just scrying is very good, as I've talked about many times. I mean, it's just good value. I used to have the whole Surveil package in here, like every single card that said Surveil, and then the Darkblade Adept, which is a Surveil payoff at common. But I took them all out. Not all of them, but I took like 2 or 3 of them out. And this is, I mean, it's a kill spell. It's a generically good card, so we got to run it. All right, let's go ahead and jump into some. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into recursion kind of effects, because you're going to be milling yourself a lot. I'm going to save the mill cards for later, but because you're milling yourself a lot, you're going to have a lot of cards in your graveyard that you want, and you just don't know how to get back. So we're going to jump right into them. Sanitarium Skeleton. This card is great because he's going to be in your graveyard, and you can just get him back whenever you want. So he's essentially 4 mana, just to have a permanent blocker, which is pretty sweet, actually. I'm a huge fan of it. But the real reason he's good is because this little cheeky card right here, Torch Existence. So that's pretty much 5 mana to get any creature you want from your graveyard back, which is nuts. Like doing that every single turn is such good value. And Sanitarium Skeleton and Torch Resistance is just such a good combo. You want to have them both. I'm a huge fan of it. I got it off once, but I mean, it's hard to get off combos in a 100 card singleton format. But when it works, it feels damn good. Grim Discovery. This is a sweet card. It hits, I mean, it's only 2 mana. That's why I like it the most. But it has potential to get you a land back from your graveyard and a creature. So like, if he does get too expensive to cast, just go ahead and send him to the graveyard, because there are plenty of ways to get him back. Like, this is a good one. Torch Existence is good. We've got more coming up. But Grim Discovery, it's a good card. It pretty much pays for itself, especially if you get 2 things. If you get 2 things, you're off to the races. But I mean, it happens sometimes, but sometimes you just might want to land, just so you can not miss your land drop. Because missing land drops hurts, especially when he has an ability that you can pay every turn. It's a good one. Gravedigger. This is just a generic good card. I do run the Flicker combo in this deck, so flickering him and getting back multiple cards is pretty damn good. 4 mana 2/2. He doesn't really need an introduction. He's pretty much good in every format he's in. Death Denied. This card's a little bit of a controversial one for the pals, because it's in a lot of our decks, but I don't think anyone has ever cast it. There's never been a good time to cast this card, and I probably should cut it just for that reason. But I'm going to hold out hope. I think there's a lot of potential for this card. Like, I mean, just even having it X for 2 is very valuable, getting 2 cards back, but it just gets better after that, too. Like I said, there's like 20 creatures in this deck, or a little more. And obviously, you're not going to have that much mana, but if you do have a lot of mana, getting back as many as you can is very good. Especially if you can go keep comboing with Torch Existence and whatnot. But I'm a huge fan of this card from Kamigawa, so you know I love it. But it's a hard one, man. I don't think I've seen it got cast like once, maybe. But like I said, I'm holding out hope. I'll try and get it one day for you guys. Grab the Mindful. It's okay. It's not too bad. 3 mana, 2/2. I like it because it is instant speed, so you can kind of just keep it up. And let's say someone tries to grave bomb you, then you can activate it in response. You just don't want to forget that you can do this. That's the big thing. Like, having this open just so you can get a darkness back in response to a grave bomb is huge. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like it's so valuable to have it up. I should probably put the Frostweird guy from Ravnica It's the same thing, but he's a 1/4 and he costs 2 mana to activate him. But I like this one so far. I haven't been too upset with it. Like I said, I do run the Flicker combo. The boys are back in town. Salvager Secrets, Archaeomancer, and Mnemonic Wall. They'll do the same thing. This one's a defender, this one's a 1/2, this one's a 2/2. Not really that relevant. You're gonna kill people in this deck with the Devourer, not with the creatures. But Mnemonic Wall, it's a great card. Archaeomancer, great card. Salvager Secrets, great card. And I mean, everyone knows about it by now, but with this place in Flicker, you go off to the races, man. My favorite thing to do, it's really bad, but my favorite thing to do is the Flicker the Salvager and Flicker the Ghoul Caller's Bell. Get that value, baby. However you can. And there are other cards, the Flicker in this deck we'll go over. There's some Surveil ones, there's some beefy boys. Like I said earlier too, Flick and Gravedigger is good. There's a lot of good value plays with it. That's why they're in the deck. And they're also just good because you're going to be milling yourself, and then you can just cast it later on. Most people don't like casting these unless they have the Ghostly Flicker or Displace. But in this deck, it's okay to cast them early and get another spell you want back, which I like a lot. Siren's Ruse is kind of like a pet card for me. It only flickers one creature, and if a pirate was exiled, it draws a card. But there are no pirates in this deck, so you're not going to be doing that. But it's just good to flicker your general in response to a kill spell. It's good to flicker the Mnemonic Wall if you don't want this and get displaced back from your graveyard. It's just another flicker. I should probably be running Teferi's Time Warp in here instead of Siren's Ruse. Okay, that makes much more sense. Okay, that one flickers permanents. But I'm going to keep playing this one because it's like a pet card of mine. I love it. Huge fan of it, even though I don't have a pirate deck yet. Alright, so that's all the meat of the deck. Now let's get to the self-mill of the deck. We got an interesting one. Treecorn. I'm also going to be doing these by like repeatable. Yeah, I'm going to be doing these by repeatable self-mill and then just like one turn self-mill, unless you have other cards that work with them. But a Treecorn's sweet. With this, you can mill yourself 3 times, 1 time a turn. But like 1 time a turn is just valuable to have. And like obviously, like if the better self-mill spell comes along, I'm gonna put that in here. But this one's sweet because you can flicker it and just get the charge counters back because it doesn't die if you lose them. But this one's great. I like it. It's helped out a lot. It's funny that a good modern card is in a nice PDH deck. It always makes me happy. Yeah, let's keep going into the consistent self-mills. Cathartic Adept and Screeching Sliver. These are both the same card. Both 1 mana 1/1s. They both mill 1, and that's good. Just self-mill consistently is very good. The 1 does hurt, but it's not the end of the world. And like I said, if someone kills Devourer, gets them off the board, just target them with the mill. Make them regret it. Because get them out of here. I'm going to save this one for later because it's one of my favorites. We got Thought Scour and Mental Note. These are kind of the same thing, but this one you could target other players, but this one's only yourself. But I mean, the 1 mana instant, it cantrips. I like it. It's good. It just triggers them once, which is okay. It's not the end of the world. I like them. They're pretty self-explanatory why they're good. But I mean, if a better consistent mill spell comes along, these are probably cuts for it. But the cantripping is huge. This one's sweet. Barrier Bones is a 1 mana 0/3 defender, which does suck, but he surveils 1, baby. If you flicker him and it can start surveilling a turn, like that's good stuff. And he's a 0/3, which it's not a 0/4, but 0/3 is still pretty good in this format. Just block what you can. He's cool. I like this one a lot. Dazzling Lights, or 1 mana target creature gets -3, -7 until in a turn. So it's just good to protect yourself from a big swing, or if you want to do it on your turn, just go ahead and surveil, just to make him bigger. But Dazzling Light's sweet card. Don't surveil one. This is one of my favorite cards. This has always been like John and I's favorite card because I mean it's just so unique and sweet. But there's never been a deck for it. But now this deck is so perfect for Sharded Broken Glass. It blows my mind. Because if you just equip this, that means on swing, he's instantly unblockable and gets +2. Because 1 for the glass and just 1 for self-milling yourself. Like, that's so cool, man. Just another equipment that makes him auto unblockable. And it's on attack too, so like I can't respond to it either. I'm a huge fan of it. I'm so happy it's finally in a deck. Easy money. Those are all the 1 mana ones. Let's go ahead and jump into some 2 mana boys. Unexplained Disappearance. This one's cool. It's just a bad unsummon, but it surveils too, or surveils 1, which is why it's good. All the surveils pretty much self-explanatory. Merfolk Mesmerist. This one's cool. It's pretty unique. 2 mana, 1/2. Pay a blue. Target player mills 2. Pretty cool. I like it a lot. There's another one that like discard a card and do it, but like that's a lot worse. And this one's cool because it's only 1 mana. 1 mana is much better than paying 3. So that's why it's in the deck. I wish it was like a 1/3 or 1/4, but I can't complain. It's a good card. Chronic Flooding is a sweet one. Huge fan of this one. Just throw it on a random land of yours, and that means your land is a permanent, consistent mill card after that, which is so funny to me. Or, end of the world, just throw it on someone else. Throw it on their dual color land, the one that taps for 2. And they're going to be loath to tap it. But normally you just want to cast on yourself, because milling yourself is not the end of the world in this deck. This is one of my favorite ones in this deck. Which is another one I'm really happy to be able to get some value from. Terrain Assistant, mill 1, and then add 1 mana to your mana pool. That is so sweet, man. There's so many things you can do with that mana. Play a rock, activate him. Like, I don't know. I love this card. I hate that it's a 1-but, man, but these 1-buts are killing me. But I like it a lot. It's huge. It's huge for on your turn. I should put Freed from Milling in this deck just so I can go really hog wild. Pay all my blue and just add a bunch of colorless and just keep untapping all my shenanigans. But that doesn't seem that good. But it seems funny. And I like funny. I go for the funny play over the good play. Or sweet. Those are all the 2 mana ones. Getting some 3. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do this whole cycle right here. Pilfered Plans is a very older card. But it holds its value in this deck. Because, like I said before, along with Jace's Erasure, you mill 2, draw 2, and mill another 2. So that's just +3 right there. Like, that is so nasty, man. Another card that draws. So it should have been in the draw pile, but these are all unique. So they're going to go here. But here, you know what? Let me just put the whole pile up. Notion Rain, Pilfered Plans, and Funeral Rites. These are all draw 2s. And then if you have Jace's Erasure out, they're all +3 as well, which is pretty good because we're placing cards in your hand and then doing a bunch of damage with Devourer is a nice combo. And the fact that there's 3 of them in this format now is pretty huge. They're all good. This is the best one because it doesn't hurt you. You don't lose 2 life from it. But these are very good. Notion Rain is probably one of the better draw spells in the format because Surveilling is just so powerful, man. But I'm really happy they printed this one, the newest one. Huge fan of it. I love self-mill and I want some more of it. Let's just go ahead and jump into, let's get this bad boy. Stages of Denizen. This one's sweet but kind of long gamey. But if you start flickering with this, like, it's just repeatable value, man. I like it a lot. There's a lot of cool ways to do it. If you have him on the field, you could just flicker some other stuff, have him and someone else on the field. Just flicker something else just to protect your commander for that turn, just to pump it up. But for the long turns, he's good to just boom, 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 go hog wild with. Another good flicker guy. This one's okay. It's a 3 mana 1/4. If you haven't noticed, I love the 1/4s in this deck. I love the big butts just because people are going to be swinging at you, and you want to prevent it as much as possible. But he's cool. Surveil 2. Flickering him, or her, I guess. Flickering her is good. Just playing it's good too. Just pumps him out. Pumps him once. Pumping once is okay in this deck. It's not the end of the world. Do Gorging Vulture. This one's cool. It's M20, 3 mana, 2/2 flyer. Man's battlefield, mill 4. And if you mill 4 creatures, you gain 4 life. Or it's 1 for 1. Pretty cool. Pretty unique. I'm pretty happy it's in this deck. Mill 4 does hurt. But it's only 3 mana, so it's pretty good. let's see here, Piece of the Puzzle. Probably one of the better cards in this deck, because I think there's like 20 or 30 maybe instants and sorceries in this deck. So you're always going to get a good hit with it. Reveal top 5, put among 2 instant or indoor sorceries from among them, and the rest in the graveyard. So obviously there are turns where you can just get completely blown out, and like you lose both of these, just pieces of this puzzle. But if you have these first and then you do it, like, it doesn't even matter what else you mill. You're just happy to get some cards, and it triggers your general too, which is very cool. I love that little synergy, because it just goes to the graveyard, so it does trigger him, which is awesome. One of my favorite cards of this format, Curse of the Bloody Tomb. Very bad card. 3 mana enchantment, enchant player. At the beginning of enchant player's upkeep, they mill 2. Wow, what a card, man. I don't even know what to say about it. But with Devourer of Memory, it auto-makes him, for your turn, unblockable and gets him off that 1-but. So it's pretty sweet. I'm a huge fan of it. Obviously, it's never going to happen in this deck, but I used to have this in Noggle. And back in the day, I got a nice, cheeky 36 cards, I think, milled with this, which is hilarious to me. It might have been 30 or 36. But Curse of the Bloody Tomb pulls in some work if people don't care about it. And I mean, just throwing on yourself is cool too. I mean, obviously puts you on a clock, but he puts it on a much faster clock. But I love Curse of the Bloody Tomb. That's all the 3s. Let's just go ahead and jump into the 4s. With Vulcan Entracer, he's pretty bad. As I was talking about earlier, this is a 4 mana 1/4. That hurts. But tap it, target player mills 2. I like it. It's alright. It's probably another cut if anything better comes along, but it is consistent, so there's no shame in that. Go ahead here, Venomous Hierophant. 4 mana, 3/3 Death Touch, and when it enters the battlefield, put the top 3 cards of your library in your graveyard. So it helps you out that turn, pumps them up. It's good to flicker, or it's also just good to have as a blocker because it is a 3/3, which means normally with Death Touchers they have big power and low toughness, so they're not that good. But this thing has potential to kill, 1 damage creatures, 2 damage creatures is just pretty huge. I'm a huge fan of it. I like the art too. It's pretty weird. Organs are awesome. Let's get into this right now. Mind Rack Harpy. This card is from the Ashiok Planeswalker deck, and this card is insane. I don't know what to say about it. It's just another pretty much Shard of Broken Glass, because it automatically makes them unblockable. At the beginning of combat on your turn, it just boom, triggers right there, which is huge. And it's also really good because other people can mill too, which makes them mad, which is funny to me. But it's a 4 mana 3/2 flyer, which is awesome. It is an enchantment creature, so there's a lot of stuff that can get rid of it. But I don't know, I love it, man. The fact that they made this card is so good. I bought like 4 or 5 of them just so I can put it in all my black decks, because I have like a couple more self-mill black decks. But this card's sweet. I love it so much, man. Let's get into the last mill card of this deck. Probably one of the better ones. Watcher in the Mist, sorry. It's a 5 mana 3/4 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, surveil 2. Like, it's pretty awesome, man. It's just a flyer too. Like, if your general does end up costing 200 mana because people keep messing with him, he's just good to beat down with. And he's a 4-but too, so he's a good blocker as well. Alright, so that is all the mill. That's all the meat of the deck. So let's just go ahead and jump to the lands now. Not much else to talk about. Command Tower, sweet card. Every dual color deck should run it. There's no real way around it. Good card. It does suck that it's kind of getting expensive, but them's the beats. Everyone runs it. Let's just go ahead and jump into the dual ones. Mirror Guildgate, Dismal Backwater gains life, and Smudge Boneyard. Sweet. I don't really need an explanation as well. They're all very valuable to have. Mirror Aqueduct, another good one. Bounce a land you control, and then it taps for 2 on your next turn. I mean, it's a great card. Most of the dual color decks always run these, unless you really don't want tap land, but okay. It's not the end of the world to have a tap land or to get him out a turn later. You want him turn 2, but it's not the end of the world. Like I said before, I have both the artifact lands, See the Synod and Vault of Whispers. They're just good to have with Trinket Mage. It's just another target for him. They are a little painful if someone is running mono artifact destruction, like Hammer Mage or whatnot. Or Grill Shaman's really good against them too. But I mean, they're sweet. Not bad at all. Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. These are from my boy Scare Tiller. They're just good to have. They're very good to recur every other turn. Don't really need to say too much about them. I only run 2 cycles in this deck. 2 cyclers, Baron Moore and Lonely Sandbar. This one cycles for a blue. This one cycles for a black. Great. I love cycling. The more of it I have, the better, the happier I am. Forge of Heroes and Opal Palace. Opal Palace, or Forge of Heroes, let's just go Forge of Heroes first. It's only ever going to do for 1. So it's not the best, but it's also not the end of the world. Playing him on turn 3 just with a counter on it is very valuable. But Opal Palace is insane in this deck because he will eat some removal. He will get shredded sometimes. But casting him again and making him huge is nasty. Having him start off as like a 6/5, that's scary, man. Because then you just get all your consistent mill out, and he's just lethal in 1 turn. I'm a huge fan of him. Opal Palace. And every commander deck, really, it's just valuable. But it's also good just in normal decks, too. This deck only runs 7 swamps. Nice. There's the swamps, too. And then we got, what is this? 13 islands. 7 swamps and 13 islands. So it's not the greatest split, but you have a lot more blue spells than you have black spells. So I think it's a nice little fair balance. So that's Devourer of Memory. I hope you guys love this card as much as I do, because Devourer of Memory is so sweet, man. He's a very unique deck. Self-mill commander damage is very funny to me. He's blue-black too, so there's a lot of cool shenanigans you can do with him. A lot of cool kill spells. I mean, just valuable cards, man. Blue-black has the best. But I love Devourer of Memory. Like I said before, like all the pals bullied me when I built this guy. But he's definitely pulled his weight. He's definitely turned the fence on them. Like, they respect him now. They see what I saw when I built him. I just love him, man. Very, very cool card. And, like, if you do get your crazy turn off, or you get a bunch of self-mill out, like, he is so easy to get lethal in, like, 2 turns, which is pretty valuable stuff. And he's unblockable, too, so you never have to worry about, like, chump blocks and whatnot. But that should be it. I think I've talked long enough about this guy. If you have any questions or comments you'd like to say, or cards I should put in the deck, cards that aren't in the deck, cards that should be taken out of the deck, go ahead and throw them off in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback on this guy, because my feedback is I love him. I hope you do too. But also, if you have any requests for more deck techs, we would love to get right into those if you just go ahead and fire a request off. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I hope you have a good day.